Hello everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast as part of the Sepulchre and Storm and Bostics. This audio podcast as part of the LabZtorm and Squal. This audio podcast as part of the Shipmo Squad. This audio podcast as part of a Storm and Bostics production. This is in around some collaborative works, or this chapter episode is in around some collaborative works that looks at hip hop, permaculture, and toxicology, and a link between and sort of an interlink and around a retrospective look at chronic illnesses in young people, or chronic illness in young people, and through looking at sort of aspects through immunology and neurobiology. And the collaborative works is aligned to works done between Hip Hop Gardens team in the Southwest UK, the Renal Patient Support Group (RPSG) in RPSG in the United Kingdom, and also and aligned to the works some collaboration with the Kidney Disease and Renal Support and KDAR's group, KDAR's social media platform for kids, or KDAR's for kids social media platform in the United Kingdom. So to begin with, in young people, coping is inherently interconnected with age-related factors, playing an important role in adaptation processes to in adaptation to in adaptation processes in adaptation processes to stress triggers. Investigations surrounding coping in young people and chronic illnesses is unique and challenging. Relating to hip hop, the genre stems back. The genre sort of stems back from the early 1970s. It is a multifaceted, or a sort of an intricate sort of art form and music that tends to be a platform for very for varying sort of cohorts, but at the same time has been it has been a sort of primarily a platform for the youth or young people, but also in amongst literature has been a platform for disenfranchised and or marginalized populations. In around some of the sort of aim and methodology of this, in around this and through this audio podcast series, this the review sort of the work sort of looks to investigate firstly central coping mechanisms in young people and chronic illnesses, and secondly to sort of to encourage a sort of understanding of hip hop, permaculture, and toxicology, aspects of toxicology, which form sort of an opportunity to raise awareness and encourage educational perspectives um, in around sort of around chronic illnesses. So the available understanding in amongst literature support the claim that young people with chronic illnesses have have access to tend to have access to a broad repertoire of coping strategies. One limitation, however, of most investigations is that coping data has been collated sort of quantitatively, and quantitatively meaning that, for example, through surveys or questionnaires, which tend to lack situational detail, and this limits the likelihood of capturing the sort of varying and multifaceted ways or intricate ways that young people sort of appraise different types of stress triggers to deal with to deal with sort of to deal with sort of some of the challenges. So in around central mechanistics, one difficulty in sort of relating early coping in young people with chronic illness or illnesses is that it is challenging to identify and quantify the nature and intensity, for example, of different stresses or stress triggers compared to adult cohorts or adults with chronic illnesses or chronic conditions, chronic illnesses. Understanding coping at the same time in chronic illness populations is important, since many tend to be clinical, or since many of the chronic illnesses tend to be sort of clinical or medical. At the same time, it may be that young people, for example, and coping strategies that are adapted sort of also influence the neurobiological and immunological pathways. Um, so in as part of as part of the analysis, or through this audio podcast as part of the analysis, literature informs that, for example, literature informs that laboratory investigations are essential to understanding coping and identifying how particular immune cells are influenced in chronic illness populations. In as part of the as part of this audio podcast series, there is also a look at a particular sort of the sort of particular toxicology profile or toxicology profile in around a particular herbicide which is used to treat different kinds of affected environs. And so there is some aspects of the toxicology that forms part of this audio podcast series in around this. At the same time, as part of the conclusion, or part of the audio podcast series sort of conclusion, an effort is made to form a review interlinking aspects of hip hop, permaculture, and toxicology to better understand the broader mechanistics of coping in young people living with chronic illnesses. Components of immunology and neurobiology components of immunology and neurobiology are generated endogenously through sort of the through pathophysiological mechanistics, and in aligned to stress or stress triggers, but also in line to the reaction to those stress or stress triggers, which are a reaction to which form sort of a reaction to or response a response to coping, and coping and again those stressors. So some main terminologies that can be used are used to identify similar works, or in around similar works. For example, include coping, immunology, neurobiology, toxicology, young people, and 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 also hip hop in some regard. Although there have not been many publications or works that interlink sort of the laboratory medicine aspects in context of hip hop. But those are some of the terminologies that can be utilized to search particular literature or in around this audio podcast series. So that draws this audio podcast synopsis to a close. This audio podcast as part of the LabZtorm and Squal. This audio podcast as part of as part of the Sepulchre and Storm and Bostix, and this audio podcast as part of the Ship Mode Squad. And this audio podcast as part of a Storm and Bostix production.